Welcome to another episode of UJ Sport on UJTV. My name is Collen, the Communications Coordinator at UJ Sport, and today we're talking football at the University of Johannesburg. And of course, today we are joined by the winning coach. I'm talking about head coach Karabo of the senior men's team for the University of Johannesburg's football club, and his two soldiers. I'm talking about Captain Maselesele as well as Puleng Bapela. These guys have been crowned champions of the league. I'm talking about the blue stream of the SAFA Johannesburg Regional League. Coach, welcome to another episode of UJ Sport, and I believe it's your first time here with your players. We're going to have a very interesting conversation. Firstly, let me start by congratulating you on winning the league recently. You were crowned champions on Sunday, the last game that you played at AW Miller Stadium. And Maselesele, are you feeling good? How does it feel being a winning captain?
It feels good to be a winning captain, because last time when you won, I wasn't captain, but this time it feels very good to be a captain, to part of a team, a winning team. Yeah, I feel very good.
Before I go to the other gentleman here, I just wanted to hear from you. So last year you finished up as the runners-up in the FNB varsity football tournament, and this year you won the league, right, the blue stream. Where to from here? What do you think you're going to do next? Because obviously that means you're giving us winning. You've got winning ways. You're giving us trophies. What can we expect going forward?
You can expect a lot, because right now after here we're going to play the playoffs. So from here it's straight to the playoffs and make sure that we win the playoffs, because last time we lost on the finals in the playoffs. I think it was 2021. But this time we will be well prepared for everything, and we'll make sure that we'll make the university proud and win the playoffs.
Before we get into the playoffs, I think we'll speak more about that. Coach, I just wanted to find out from you. You've played 32 games in the league. You've only lost 2 games. I think you drew three games, and then the rest, obviously, you won. And you were winning those games with such big scores. I remember you were thrashing some teams 12-0, 8-1, 5-1. Can you tell us about how you approach games in the league from the start of the league until recently when you're crowned champions? What do you guys do to prepare for such games?
I think what we've brought in as a coaching team is a winning culture to the institution in terms of football. So we approach every game with that mentality, that every game must be won. But it's not just about winning, it's about the processes to bring that winning mentality as well. Every player knows their KPIs in the team, and they know what they have to do on the field of play. And we've implemented a game model that everyone now understands. And it's just to every year just sharpen that model a bit, fine-tune it, because obviously your opponents know you. Year in, year out, they also watch you, they also record you and analyze you. So every year you have to bring something special to the table. But I think long-term, over the past 3-4 years, what we've brought in is that winning mentality, that winning culture into the team. So whether it's a friendly match, whether it's a competitive match, whatever match it is that we play, they know that they're still representing the University of Johannesburg. And everyone who plays against us plays against the University of Johannesburg. So our guys know that every match must be won, And that's the departure point from where we are getting to winning these championships. It's because as a foundation and as a value for the university lies the winning culture, the mentality to go out and try to be the best at what you do. And that's what we've achieved.
So speaking about winning mentality, the senior director, Nomsa Mahlangu, she speaks a lot about a winning culture or a winning mentality. And for a long time, the University of Johannesburg's senior men's team, the football team, has been playing, finishing at a much closer level to winning championships. But they were not fortunate enough to go through. I remember was it 2014, somewhere there, when they lost in semi-final against TUT. Was it? It was the semi-final, ne? No, it was the final.
It was the final against,
they were playing at the Soweto campus.
Final against the University of Pretoria.
Yeah,
I
Tuks.
remember Jerry Nkwana scored
They lost
the
1-0.
free kick there. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's where the football team started showing signs of, becoming champions in the near future. It was unfortunate that they lost through that goal, which came later on in the second half. And but then you came, coach, in 2017, and then you worked with the team, I think, for about 2-3 years. Then COVID-19 came. But then once COVID passed, I remember we played in a bubble in 2021 in Pretoria. And that's where UJ started winning for the first time the varsity football trophy. And of course, you were the head coach then. And then in 2022, you went on to be finished in second place. We finished in Soweto when we lost to TUT. Then this year again, varsity football is coming up. And then that comes at the backdrop of you guys finishing at the top from 2020. In 2021, you won the same league that you just won now. And then you also won the FNB varsity football. Then 2022, it's funny that, somehow history has been, those results have been consistent in how you guys were finishing. You finished in second place in the league. You also finished in second place in the 2022 FNB varsity tournament. Obviously, being there at the top requires consistency. And like you said, other teams start knowing how you play, and they can plan for you, right, to stop you from winning games, etc. But with you, it seems like you just carry on winning and winning and winning. So my question, like personally, when I look at the football team, has always been, what are you doing differently to make sure that you always outplay your opponents, and also that you keep on winning consistently, finishing in top 2 positions all the time, either as champions or as runners-up? What do you do differently there?
Yeah, as I mentioned with regards to that winning culture, but it's also, when you speak of consistency, you cannot fake it. You cannot fake consistency and speak about it without the actions behind those processes and those underlying foundations of consistency. In pursuit of excellence, you have to continuously try to improve. And this is based on some of the values we infuse into what the players do. We ask them to also invest in themselves. So they have a lot of work to do in terms of self-improvement. We want players who are self-regulating. We don't want to be controlling players all the time. We want players who want to initiate the process of self-improvement, and initiate the process of self-regulation. We are guiding the process. We are guiding the process, but we've seen a huge improvement in how the players take ownership of these processes. And you see a lot of them do extra work. Puleng here does a lot of set plays, and he scores them regularly, So we can see that he himself can see that these processes are working. So it's one of those things that we've tried to inculcate into the culture at UJ, to say, focus on the individual player, improve the individual player, because holistically it adds on into what we are trying to do as a team. Once you improve a player by 5% and you improve 20 of them by 5%, that adds up. Long term it adds up, and it's what our foundation is based on, to improve these individual players. So, as I mentioned, you cannot fake or speak about consistency without putting the process in place for it. And that's what we've done. We put those processes in place, and the players are reacting well to them. The good thing is the players are seeing that those processes work. They speak about it. Yeah. And the good thing is that they don't just speak about it, they do it, they action some of these processes. And that's what we've changed. But above all, I want to touch on how the competitions have always been viewed at UJ. We've in the past we've always viewed the SAFA Johannesburg Regional League as a preparation for other things. You know, we've always said it's a preparation for the varsity football, the USA Club Champs, or whatever, you know. And when I came in, I ensured that it is not just preparation, that the competition itself needs to be taken with the seriousness it deserved, you know, because as I mentioned, you cannot all of a sudden switch yourself from just preparing and then all of a sudden you want to win things. So you have to win things from the start. And that's where the foundation of consistency is built on. So we've said this competition itself has to be taken seriously. And the good thing is it has become now the foundation from where our successes are based. You know, we now have to win these leagues. And funny enough, you've just mentioned now that when we won the Blue Stream in 2021, we won the varsity football tournament. Last year, we came second in the league. We came second in varsity football. And but the good thing is after that, we also became the USA Club Championship, National Club Championship champions. So this year, we've won the Blue Stream. So we are now obviously going into the varsity football tournament as winners of the Blue Stream. So I'm hoping that history can follow that trajectory. You know, I'm hoping that we can also do better in the playoffs. The last time we were runners up, so I'm hoping that this time Lady Luck can come onto our side because we were really unfortunate in that final as well. But I'm hoping that trajectory follows through with history.
Yeah. So let's talk to you, Puleng. You played in the 2021 tournament, the varsity football one.
No, I didn't play.
Were you at UJ at the time?
Yeah, I was at UJ.
You were in the second team?
No, I was in the first team, but then unfortunately I didn't make the squad.
Yeah. So you were there, obviously learning from
I was there.
what the guys were doing on the pitch. You were training with them, you were traveling with them, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So what has that then done for you? Because you also played last year in the varsity football tournament. You played in the league last year. You played in the league this year. What have you learned from that period since 2021 up to today? Because I'm asking you this. Because I've realized that the University of Johannesburg senior men's football team plays as a unit. It's like you guys stay in the same place, same house, you go training. You go to training together also at the particular time, and you go to the gym sessions together. I mean, I even saw some guys were graduating recently. They posted their videos on social media, graduating, right, as a team. As players that played together and they finished their studies and they were graduating on the same day. Can you tell us about the unity of the club and what does that do for you guys on the pitch?
Okay. During 2021, when I first came here, when I was a first year, I think I was fortunate to be welcomed by experienced players who have been here at UJ, players who have been through the process, you know, the likes of Pogiso Mabote. Yeah, he was a person who welcomed me very, very well. And also the team at that time, I think we had a lot of experienced players. I mean, you mentioned your Gigi, you mentioned quite a number of players. Gigi, the goalkeeper, yeah. So when I first arrived, it was pretty much tough for me, you know, having to adapt to like learning and also being requested, you know, regularly training sessions, team sessions. So it was quite difficult. And then what I learned there, it was, you know, the transition from playing your under 17s, under 19s, coming into like first team. It's quite the gap is quite visible. It's quite visible because a lot of players, when they are out of that zone, they start struggling, you know. Yeah. So that year really built me, even though I wasn't part of the team 2021. But then, I mean, I could see why I wasn't part of the team, because of certain things physically. Also, when I first arrived, I was
Plus, you know,
I was weak. There's also my body structure.
You're petite yourself. And so, the guys that were playing in there, they were big guys. I remember the likes of Pogiso, Mabute, an intimidating striker
Exactly.
who is very confident. The likes of Thabang Lebesi, who was at the time the captain of the team, and the tall striker Tristan Nikitaridis, who also went to Baroka FC. I want to talk to you guys about that, because you're mentioning those names and you played with those guys. And captain, those people went on to play for professional teams even in the PSL, like Baroka, and then Gerald Ndlovu played for Cosmos, Jomo Cosmos. Pogiso went to play for Yes, yes. And then there's other players, obviously, that went on to play for other teams as well. I want to speak to, especially the two of you as current players now. What does that mean to you as a player who knows that you're playing for a team that is capable of producing players that can go on and represent a professional national team, right? Or a team in a national setup? Because for me, that means, coach, inspiration is not too far from you, right? If you are living with somebody that can do things to that level, that means you as well, you can get to that level. So what does that inspiration mean to you, and where do you see yourself in the near future?
It means a lot to me, because we speak to them on a daily basis. They always tell us that to keep on pushing, that we must all make sure that we work hard for our dreams, because anything is possible, and they're coming from UJ, so that means even us in the near future we can get opportunities and play somewhere, or even represent as Bafana Bafana. So they really inspire us a lot, and we look up to them, and we even hope that they make it in their current teams, and we'll see them maybe playing in the PSL.
Yeah. There's a very talented young man. Of course, the whole squad, I think, is in my opinion, everyone there is talented. They play football in a very amazing way. Like if you see a player that's got the ball, you know which that person is good, and we don't go into matches. I think that's one of the things. As maybe I'm speaking from a biased position, coach, but as a proper football fan, and somebody that works and has been following UJ sport and the football team, particularly in those tournaments, the varsity football and the league, I've realized that the UJ players are so capable that you don't even feel scared going into playing a serious team like TUT, for instance, when we were playing last year. It was unfortunate that they actually beat us in our opening game, right, last year. And then they also went on to beat us in the semis.
The finals.
In the finals. And but they knew themselves that UJ is not. It's not an easy team that you can just play and win and know that we crown champions. They had to work for it, And knowing that they've beaten you in the first one, they knew that you were going to turn things around. And I want to talk about the confidence, right, in the team, knowing that you're playing with the likes of Thulani Zandamela, playing with the likes of having the goalkeeper Richard in goals, right? And all the guys there advocate Mokoena, for instance, the people that are really capable, whether you're talking defense or midfield or strikers or your goalkeeper. What is the most unique thing that you think the UJ team has, if you look at the other competing teams in the varsity football tournament and the Johannesburg Regional League? What gives UJ the edge? I think that's the question that I want to ask. What gives UJ the edge to keep on winning like that?
I think we have like a lot of versatile players in our team, because coaches, whenever we approach a team that knows us very well, he can even take, in instance, in the USAs, Newele Bopa, TUT didn't know, like, Newele Bopa is a defender, center back. Yeah. So coach put him as a CDM, because even them, they were surprised how. Now Newele Bopa is playing a CDM, and we introduced the new player, Tawa Mshike. Yeah. He was playing with me as a two center backs. So like they were surprised, like who's this player? Like we have a lot of versatile players and
That can switch
yeah, that can switch positions. And even now we have Mkadli, our striker. Yeah, he really played very well in the USA finals. Yeah, I think we have a lot of like versatile players and players that can show up in big games. So yeah, that's the edge that we have.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think also what gives us the edge, it's the squad depth. You know, like the squad depth we have also gives us a different dimension in terms of how we approach games, because different games require different approaches. And also, I think the management from the technical team, the coaches and everyone, the staff, everyone, including the sports scientists, you know, they really play a huge role in terms of giving us that edge.
And the other thing that I wanted to find out, Coach, earlier on, you spoke about consistency, right? And I had you speaking about cognitive load that you have to apply to the team, and that gives you, a good run when you start the season at the beginning. And then obviously these guys are student athletes, so they still have their academic side that they also have to attend to, which is as critical as them winning the champions, the titles that they have to win. Now, what do you do to make sure that the team is consistent? And I know that obviously UJ Sport has got a team of sports scientists or conditioning coaches who help the different teams that are available. Can you just explain to people what does cognitive load mean and how do you apply it to a team such as this one?
Yeah, well, cognition means thinking. So the cognitive load is basically the thinking load, decision-making load. So we overload our players to make many decisions in a football game. And we don't just load them on a physical aspect, we also overload them with regards to that. Because a lot of inadequacies in football players is that they perceive fatigue differently. We perceive fatigue differently as well, because our players can last, if we have to play an 120-minute game, they can last the whole match with playing 120 minutes, because they are able to think consistently, repeatedly, and maintain that thinking over the whole game. So it's part of our training methods that we implement in order to overload them, to ensure that they are prepared on a cognitive level in a match. We know that physically we are helped by the methods we use. We are helped by the sports science department. The sports science itself, they help us with the high performance gym work, and we guide the process as well to indicate what we would like our players to do in matches, how we would like our players to outjump opponents, outrun opponents, in duels, outdo the opponents in duels. So we guide the process as the technical team, but the sports science department is the one that implements these processes. So kudos to them. We've got a brilliant medical team as well. Our players are able to also recover quickly from injuries, and they are able to last longer on matches. Even after coming back from injuries, they are able to not, basically they are resilient. They do not get injured again.
Yeah.
And that is testament to the whole multidisciplinary process that we have at UJ in terms of player preparation.
Yeah, and I want to also talk about recruitment. I was lucky, I think, last year October, when we went to the City of Roses in Bloemfontein for the netball tournament, and there I also met you. You were there for the schools tournament that was taking place there, to scout some talent, really good talent there. For somebody that's watching or following the UJ football team, they may think, we're just taking students here who come to the university and register as students and also play football, right? But then they may not be aware that you guys are traveling the length and breadth of the country looking for talent as well. can you just tell us about how do you guys recruit new and young prospective students that can come and help the team in the future?
Yeah. So in any company, in any sphere of life, you have so-called talent specialists or HR, human resources or human capital, management, and sport is no different. With sport, you have phases, you have cycles, and especially at university, you'll have guys coming in first years like Puleng, in a year or 2 or 3, he'll graduate and get offers to go elsewhere. Maselesele will also do the same. The others, they are not permanent students.
Yeah.
So we need the cycle going. We need to refresh the cycle once in a while. But for us, it's important that we get the human capital every year so that our cycle doesn't break, that we are consistent performers. Some of them may not hit the ground running, like Puleng mentioned earlier, that there's a process of integration that must happen. But we have to get some of the best young talent in. And to do that, we have to work hard in identifying them, and going to speak to them, going to watch them playing in tournaments. Some of them we already know, but going to those tournaments is just to reassure ourselves that we are making the right decisions in going after them. From that tournament alone, I think we came back with 3 players.
These are high school players, by the way.
Yeah,
they
were
are currently in high school.
No, right now
they were in high school.
They were in
back
high
then.
school.
Yeah.
Now they're at university. Tokolo Villagas is one of them.
Okay.
Is getting better. He's getting game time now. He's got his first goal a week ago. And you have Tebogo Modise, but he struggled with injury. And it speaks to what Puleng was saying. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they have physical inadequacies, which must be improved in the gym as well, with injury protocols, injury prevention protocols, and strengthening and so forth. I think he'll do well in the next few years. You have Nkateko Madulege was with JP Boys. I mean, he's from here, but I've had to go to Bloemfontein to go watch him play. Yeah. So there's a couple that we also identify for the future. They're still in grade 11, grade 10, grade 11. But we keep tabs on them. We help them as well with how to apply at the university, how subject selection, what to look for, how to calculate their APS score. So we guide them a lot in how they apply.
And that, of course, brings in the another unit of UJ Sport called Sport Psychology and Academic Advising. That's where you guys work hand in hand with those guys to make sure that you identify the right people, but also you guide them through the process in their academic life so that they do well there, they can be accepted into UJ, and then they can join the football club. Now, speaking about that, you as the captain, your role is not just to guide players on the pitch when you are playing games. You are also a leader of the field, but maybe in training or in the residences, we've got a UJ Sport residence here. When those players that the coach is talking about, they come into the team, what do you do as a captain to make sure that they're well integrated into the team, and also that they feel welcome, they feel, at home, away from home? As a captain, what do you think is the role of a captain in making sure that the younger players that join the squad do well when they join the team?
I think my job is to motivate them, because obviously coming from high school to varsity, it's different. It's very difficult, to adapt. So, and coming to a team like UJ, not all of them are going to get game time. So I must make sure that I motivate them, that you must keep on pushing. Even me, when I came here, I was struggling, And I remember there was a point that I texted coach, I was like, Coach, why ain't I getting game time? And coach explained to me that there are a lot of senior players, he listed them, that obviously they play in your position. So you must make sure that you look up to them and copy what they do and make sure that you work very hard, you know. And that's what I did. I make sure that I work very hard. And captain, Steven Lewis, Tabang Lewis, he was like my guardian, you know. He always talked to me like, hey, you must push, boy. And maybe next time, if you keep on pushing, you'll be starting week in and week out. That's what I did. And me as captain, I must make sure that I motivate the younger ones, make sure that they keep on pushing. And the other thing that helps me because they stay at the same rest as me, Afslan, sports rest.
So that's why you guys are so unified, because you stay in one place, you go training together, and then you go and play games together as well. So that's why. So would you give us examples or one or two things of the things that you probably think young guys struggle with when they join the team, and then maybe how do they improve that as time goes?
I think fitness level, you know, because at UJ, I must be fit, you know, and even our game model demands a lot. So adapting to our game model is very difficult for some certain players, but as time goes, we have our technical team is, you know, they know how to deal with players and how to motivate them. So, so that's the thing.
So one of the things, especially being a team, whether you are an employee, you work as a staff member, you would know that if you joined a team that is well performing, and then you come there, you cannot drop the ball. So for you guys as the current players of the football team at UJ, you came in, you joined a squad that was already established. They've won the titles. You were there when they won the title. You were still, you know, upcoming, but in the team when they won in 2021. Does that bring some sort of pressure, or do you just do you adapt to that high pressure environment, knowing that this is what is expected of you, these guys are winning, and therefore you have to do the same so that you don't drop the ball? How do you manage the expectations in terms of winning and making sure that you keep the consistency that the coach was talking about?
Yeah, I think you see, like wearing this shirt alone, wearing this badge, it comes with a lot of pressure on its own. So it's one of the things that you need to consider when you are wearing this shirt. So when you come into a team like UJ, like a high performance team, you know, you need to know what's required. As coach said, you know, as much as they load you with the cognitive stuff, you understand? I think it's part of it.
Like thinking.
I think it's part of it, like that winning mentality. Like you have to put it in your mind that, like a lot of people have represented this badge very, very well. So it's also up to us, like as when you're upcoming, like when you introduce to the team, to know like the values of the team, what the badge has been through, you understand, all those things, in order for you to also maintain that thing.
Yeah.
Be there, like always be top level.
Yeah. So you've got names that went on to play for different teams. If I can drop a few of them, that on its own brings the expectations that I'm talking about. Thulane Zandamela joined Mamelodi Sundowns, the M Tigers. And then at some point, I also saw he was joining the senior team in training with them. You had Pogiso, who also went to play for another team. You've got Gerald Ndlovu, who was playing for Jomo Cosmos. Now he's playing in Poland now. And you've got a lot of other players that went on. I spoke about Tristan Nikitaridis, who went to play for Baroga FC. Unfortunately, they went down the radar in the 2022 season, right? Those guys have done well when they were at UJ, and they went into those teams, and we saw them sort of establishing themselves there, mingling with top professional footballers in South Africa. Now, you are currently here. You're a student athlete at UJ. You play football. You're also studying. Where do you see yourself? What is your next step? Do you see yourself being a player that joins Mamelodi Sundowns or Kaizer Chiefs or any other professional team here? Or do you see yourself following in the footsteps of Gerald Ndlovu, who went to play for the Polish team?
Actually, I think personally for me, it's just a matter of just believing in the process, just putting in the work, then whatever comes, it will come. So I think what my coach usually says, he likes to say football is an honest game, you understand? So all the players we've been mentioning, for me, I think the time when they were still here at UJ, when I was there, like there were those players you could see even in training, like they had that edge over other players. The work they used to put in, it was tremendous. I mean, like there were those hard workers. Yeah. So me living with the likes of Tulani Zandamel, address like someone just that I know I'm close to, then seeing him like being able to train with the Mamelodi Sundowns first team, it really inspires me a lot. You understand? It shows me that it is possible for me one day to be there also, even though it's not Mamelodi Sundowns, just another different team. So with me, whatever comes, yeah. Whatever
You'll
comes,
take it from there.
Yeah, I'll take it from there.
And is that the same for you? You also want to trust in the process?
Yeah, I also want to trust in the process because you never know what will happen, because you cannot rush things. You might rush things and want to go to a team while you're not well prepared for that. And when the challenges come, you think, I should have just stayed at UJ. So I will just trust the process and believe in the coach as he believes in me. And whatever comes, if I get offers, I'll talk to coach first and ask if is it a good offer or what.
Yeah. Coach, you have produced these players that we spoke about. These guys joined. I mean, Tulani Zandamela is one perfect example for me. He's still in the team currently, right?
I hope so.
So he's been playing for UJ since he was a kid in high school in Soweto, from Meadowlands, and then he came to UJ studying, and then he also played in the league. He played in the. So you've seen this boy grow from being a youngster to becoming the player that he is now, and I believe that the future is bright ahead of him. What are some of the characteristics of somebody that can progress or succeed in the manner that Tulani has done, according to you, from a coaching perspective?
Well, it's just what the guys have been saying. I mean, it's no secret. Hard work, but also good guidance from the technical team. We've done well with Zandamela, with various coaches, from where he comes from, just also helping him with his lifestyle and how he carries himself. And I think long term, the coaches have done well with Zandamela. He came here as a very scrawny little young man at the age of 14 in 2017, I think. And we saw the talent immediately then. And we guided him very well. We've helped him. And to be where he is now, it's not a surprise for us as a technical team, having seen him play. He's a very passionate youngster, a very passionate player. He believes in a lot of work as well. He's one player who gets, how do I say it? He does not like not being involved. Whatever is happening in the team, he likes to get involved. Whether we are working hard at training, we are playing matches, he always wants to be there. He's not afraid of hard work. And this is what I was actually speaking about to some coaching colleagues yesterday, to say the players who succeed, they transcend discomfort. He's one of those who's transcended discomfort. They are comfortable in that uncomfortable state. So
they're comfortable being uncomfortable.
Being uncomfortable. Yeah. So they can face adversity with a brave face. They don't look at challenges as obstacles. Zandamela, for instance, looks at challenges as things to overcome. He's always looking to overcome challenges, and he faces them head on, and he's not afraid to do so. And those are, as I mentioned, it's not a surprise that good things are close for him. And as you mentioned, do I wish him to play for our team in the varsity football? Of course I do. But I wish him better things as well. I wish he can start training with the first team at Sundowns and hopefully secure a contract with them. That's what I wish for him. we'll always we'll bring up another Zandamela, so to
yeah.
speak. We'll bring up
I'd be
another
happy
Zandamela.
because
Yeah.
I know that having that star player in the team who can,
Yeah,
change
but
things
I
around.
wish we sign this
Yeah,
contract
of course,
with
and
the first team.
there's other players there, coach, that I think they do match his level. The likes of the boy from Beggarsford in Limpopo, Advocate Mogoena. He's done tremendously well on a pitch, whether being the league or being the varsity football. In the matches that I've watched him, he's done very well, and obviously the captain here as well, and he looks like a quiet, shy somebody here, but on the pitch is a totally different player, right? And I just want, there's this thing, coach, in football terms or in South African football culture. We know that football players are not really disciplined people. It's not all of them. There's some bad apples there that, we know the history of some players. We're not going to mention names. These guys come here as student athletes, not just players who play football for UJ, but people who are students first before they are players. And obviously that brings in a different dynamic. They are people who are in an academic environment, studying to become a certain professional in the future. This, aside from football, right? When they finish their playing days, then they're gonna go into different careers that they would have studied for. How is it for you as a coach to manage people who are students? I think students, the word students on its own tells you that this person is teachable and is able to listen because they are studying to become something. You're not dealing with guys that you just picked out of a township somewhere or in a rural area somewhere and bringing them in a professional setup where you want them to behave a certain way, to lead certain lifestyles, to be professionals that we want them to be. It must be easier on you, I think, as a coach. That's my assumption. But what are the things that you think are critical for a student athlete to succeed in the environment that they operate in now and not follow the same things that we've heard about other players out there?
Yeah, I think I'll sound like a broken record, but these guys can handle the cognitive load. At university with academics, you need to be able to take in so much, process it, and apply it in life. On the football field, there's so many demands from the coaching teams, but also the good thing from the players themselves. They demand a lot from themselves, and that's the culture we've inculcated to ensure that, as I mentioned earlier, we develop self-regulating beings, people who demand a lot from themselves because they know they've got the ability to do better, always. So the balance is key. And some of the techniques we've used with external help as well, like the academic support department, time management. They learn about time management. It's a concept that is not looked into well enough because it is critical in how you succeed, and it's a foundation of success. Everything has its time, and these guys need to budget their time properly, and they do. Puleng is doing accounting science, a heavy course. Maselesele is already doing his advanced business management course. And you can see they do well on the field, they do well in class. So I think the multidisciplinary approach at UJ has helped a lot of our players in setting them on the correct path with the right techniques to handle this load. And it's working, it's evident. They do well on the field, they do well in class. But yeah, look, we get these guys from everywhere. From the rural areas, from the townships, from affluent areas. But we get them down into the foundations of what we require as a team and what we require as a student athlete. And the most important thing there is balance. And they know it. It's not a secret. And we also thank the help of the academic advising department, they do well with assisting us as well, with tracking their progresses in academics. So it's not only us as the coaches.
It's a process.
It's a multidisciplinary approach that we have.
And then, of course, we're going to wrap up. I think we can't wrap up without talking about the playoffs of the league that you've just won, the Blue Stream. And also, we are preparing to go into 2023 FNB Varsity Football Tournament, which starts at the end of July somewhere. Why do you have to play? For me, this doesn't make sense. But anyway, we have to. I think you will explain it better. You've got how many streams? 4.
It's 4.
It's the Blue Stream. It's the orange, green, and yellow.
Yeah.
So these are streams from Johannesburg, representing certain areas of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And the top winners there. So it's top 4.
Yeah.
You guys have to do the playoffs to be promoted into the second.
Not to play the playoffs of the inter-regional.
Of the inter-regional.
Yes,
and then once you win those, and then you get promoted into the second division.
2 teams from that round robin playoffs qualify into the SAFA second division.
Yes. Okay. In 2021, you played that, and you finished as runners-up, I think, there, and you couldn't go through. Last year, it was a different story because you finished in second position. This year, how are you going to approach? I'm sure because you've been there. You tried. You were almost. You almost succeeded, but unfortunately, you fell short. What are you going to do differently this year to make sure that you go into the, you get promoted?
Yeah, as a coaching team, obviously, preparations are key. The types of friendlies we secure, the types of preparatory methods we use in order to try and be ahead of our opponents always. And as I mentioned, it's not just for the playoffs. It starts at the beginning of the year, of the season, and carries on to the playoffs, to varsity football, and eventually to the USA Club Champs. So it's not something that will be new to us to prepare at a high level always. That's very important. But there's one underlying factor that I think we do have that can give us an edge. And I think it's because some of these players have been there before. They fell short. And I can assure you they don't want to fall short again. So it's an edge that we have. It's I think an advantage that we have, that a lot of these guys know what it takes to be there, and now I think they know what it takes to win there. So I think that could be the edge, that these guys will want it more. I mean, we fell short in 2021, but that galvanized the players to do well in the varsity football tournament, and they won the tournament. So I'm hoping that this time they go one better.
Yeah. And of course, finally, you still have 2 major tournaments that are upcoming. That's the varsity football tournament, as well as the University Sport South Africa Champs later, which is USA in short. Now, I think winning varsity football, you won the USA champs last year in Secunda in Mpumalanga. Yeah. So last year you finished up in second place for FNB varsity football. This time, fortunately, the majority of the players who played last year are still there this year. I'm not sure about the other universities. So for you, captain, are we lifting the trophy this year?
Definitely we're lifting it, because players who played last year, most of them are still here. They're still going to play the USA champs at the end of the year. So I think, we're going to lift the trophy.
Yeah, that's the most critical part. And then for you, Puleng, obviously you were there in 2021, although you were not part of the playing team. You missed it by an inch last year. This is your opportunity now to lift it, right? How much do you want it?
Honestly, at a personal level, deep down, I am not, like, technically, I'm not yet a varsity football champion. You understand? So this year, I think this is the to lift it, and also I think we have to make sure that we lift it at home, for our fans, also our supporters and everyone. So this year, definitely going for it with everything we have. We're just gonna leave everything in that field. But then before that, I think what's most important now, what we need to focus on, it's what's coming next, which is the playoffs. Because eventually, after varsity football, there is life. After that, there is football that has to continue. So we have to ensure that we are in the ABC Motsepe.
Coach, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much and well done on winning the Blue Stream.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best in playoffs. Hopefully we get promoted. Sir, Puleng, thank you very much. I wish you well as well. And I hope you lift the trophy. Captain, my leader. Captain, my captain. Hey, this man. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining this conversation. Please do stay tuned to the channel and watch the other episodes that we've published as well. Subscribe to the channel, add to the numbers there. Let's grow the UJTV platform together. Until next time, thank you.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.